Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today I have a subscriber interview that I would like to share with you, and before we get into it, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and my merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. The links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. My merch is displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1, 2, and 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe, click the like button, and please leave a comment. It really does help, and it matters. And now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with today's upload, shall we? All right, like I said, I have a subscriber interview. Our subscriber is in the military. He was in the Marines for 12 years and Army for 10. He is retiring. He had one really brief Dogman encounter, and it's pretty interesting. I'm going to share that, or he's going to share that with you now. The interview is about 15 minutes long, so I'm going to, after the interview, I'm going to fill in with a couple of other little encounters as well. So let's get into it. All right, everyone. Tonight I have a subscriber with us. He reached out via email and said, hey, I got a couple of experiences to share with you. He's in the military, and we've been talking for a little while here. Really nice guy. Mike, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, and thank you for reaching out and agreeing to come on and do the interview. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you said that you had a couple of encounters and that you were in the military. You had mentioned that in the email. Did you have your experiences on duty, or were they, or
actually, I had twice on duty, and the third one just out hunting with some friends and family.
Okay, so I'm going to turn the mic over to you so you can share your experiences with us, all right?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Mike. I'm 45 years old. I am in the military. My first experience was at 2017. We was in Canada doing joint training with the Canadians. So we out in the wilderness, in the woods, patrolling, and all of a sudden the woods got quiet, and heard some wood knocks. Like 3 knocks, and I'm like, what the F is that? And the Canadian guy who I was training with, he's like, oh, that's the old man in the woods. I'm like, the old man in the woods? What you talking about? Like a hermit? He said, no, it's a Bigfoot. I said, no. He said, yes, it's a Bigfoot. He don't really do nothing to you. He just peeks. He'll peek behind you, watch you, basically peekaboo. Hide behind the tree, look at you, stuff like that.
Okay.
Maybe throw some rocks and pebbles and stuff like that. But he never ever show aggressive. He never tried to attack you or nothing. So I was like, okay, whatever. So that was the first one. So my second one was 2014 Afghanistan. I was on convoy security. I was a gunner, and it was, I can't remember. It was like in May. I don't know what date, but I know it's probably like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So I got the NVGs, night vision goggles, searching, scanning for bad guys, and all of a sudden, I seen a bright light, and then all of a sudden, it shot across, went behind some mountains. It all of a sudden it hovered, shot back across. So I'm talking to my TC, my truck commander. I say, hey, do you have anything on the radar? He's like, no, the radar is all clear. It's all green. It's nothing. Just friendly forces, nothing. So he's like, why? I was like, never mind. So I never told nobody. And so it was a UFO.
Now, with that, so like it just went behind the mountain range.
Yeah,
it never reappeared.
No, it went behind the mountain range for like a second, then it reappeared.
Okay.
And went across again. So I'm looking at it in my night vision goggles. Then somebody just shot straight up, like a bat out of hell.
Right. Was there a tracer, like with your night vision goggles? Was there like a heat tracer following it, or like any kind of, like I'm imagining, because I've never
like a heat signature.
Yeah.
A heat signature. It was like a little heat. No, not really. It was just straight, just like a. How can I explain it?
Because I'm imagining like with like an airplane or like a jet. If you saw a jet through your night vision goggles, you'd see kind of a tracer.
Like you see, yeah. No, I ain't seen no signatures,
Nothing
no
like
blinking
that.
lights.
Okay.
No blinking lights or nothing like that. No pulsating lights or nothing. It was just like solid. It was a solid mass.
Okay.
And it was just like fast.
Wow.
And stuff, and it like, and my truck commander was like, "What's wrong? You see something?" I'm like, "No, I ain't see nothing." So I never say nothing. I just shut up.
Right.
And I just kept it to myself.
Now with the old man in the woods, that like, I should have asked. I didn't mean to. I should have asked prior to you going to your second. When you were in the woods, you heard this knock, he said it, and then there was no more knocks. Did the woods go silent or anything? Or
Yes, because like when we was walking and we was talking, and I hear all the birds, the animals, and the sounds, and all of a sudden it was dead. It was dead calm.
Okay.
It was silent, and I hear like toot 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 toot, and I'm like, the heck is that?
right.
He's like, and the guy was laughing. He's like, you don't know what that is? I'm like, no. He's like, we call him the old man in the woods. I'm like, what do you mean, old man in the woods? Like I say, I thought it was like a hermit,
Right.
something like that. But he's like, no, it's actually a Sasquatch, a Bigfoot. I'm just like, WTF?
Yeah.
He's like, yes. So I never got a visual of him, but I just heard the knocks.
Right.
But the guy confirmed that he don't bother nobody.
The Canadian military is aware of them, though. Obviously,
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Even law enforcement.
Oh, absolutely. I've had a couple of law enforcement officers on here. One sheriff from Louisiana gave his account, so. But that's crazy. Yeah, it's funny too, because the old man in the woods, and you're like, "What, a hermit? What are you talking about?"
Yes, that's what I was thinking, like a hermit or somebody just living off the grid.
Yeah, living in a little shanty or something.
Yes. Okay, and my third one was actually it was last year, because I'm from Florida, and we got the green swamp.
Okay.
And so, there's a lot of wild hogs, so we go hog hunting. So it's me and a few guys. And so we out in the woods on my buddy property, and so we tracking some hogs. And all of a sudden, you heard some grunts, like hog getting killed. And so it got quiet for a second. So I got nods. So I used my NVGs. I also got night vision scope. on my rifle.
Okay.
So I'm looking around, and all of a sudden, I seen like a blight dog, pretty big. I don't know what it was, so I'm just looking at it, tracking it, looking at it, and it just stand there like probably like 100 to 150 yards out, and it was like feasting on this hog. So I'm just like, "Hey, you see this? You see this?" He said, "Yeah, I see it. What is it?" I'm like, "It looks like a dog." So all of a sudden, it stood up. And so you see the shock, like, what the hell I'm looking at? And so I'm like rubbing my eyes, like, I know this is a freaking dream or something.
Yeah.
So it stood up, stiff in the air. It went back on all fours. Kept eating the hog. Then all of a sudden, it just took off running like south. And you hear the crashing through the woods, crashing through the trees. And after that, we hauled tail, got back on our four-wheelers and hauled ass and got out of there.
Yeah.
And that was it.
So when it stood up, did it went back down to eat, and did it run on all fours or on twos when it ran?
Yeah. When it went back down on all fours, it ran on all fours.
Okay.
If I can guess, it was probably about between 6'7", maybe 7 foot.
Okay. Wow.
And he stood there for like a minute or two, just sniffing the air, and then also he just went back on all fours. Started eating the pig again. All of a sudden, just took off running.
Yeah. It's almost like it caught scent of you guys.
Yeah. Probably did. I wasn't going to stay around and wait for him.
Right. Right.
So we went back, got on our four-wheelers, and we just took off.
Now, with that's your final encounter that you've had, and you and I had talked for, probably 20, 30 minutes prior to talking and interviewing this. I have said countless times when a person has an experience with a dogman or a Bigfoot or something, they either, one, completely shut it out and ignore it and don't want any part of it, or they become completely infatuated with the subject of it. And you are the latter. You are completely infatuated, like we were talking about, books and this and that. And I think that's the best way to deal with these things. And because you've always got, like you and I said talking, you've always got people that are going to doubt you. But
of course,
there's always people that are with you that know these things exist. And at least, now in this day and age, there's the internet, there's shows like mine, there's books, there's, help out there to prove that these things exist. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy that how it works out.
Yes, it is. I always been like a believer, growing up, Bigfoot, stuff like that. Then down the years, Dogman, and other cryptids. So I always keep an open mind.
Yeah.
I don't be stuck in a box.
Right. And where you saw your experience in Florida, I don't believe Florida has bears down there, do they?
Yes, we got bears. We got black bears.
Black bear, yeah, but nothing that's going to stand for a minute straight and look around. Did you see a tail through your goggles with that?
He had a short, bushy tail.
Okay.
He had a short, bushy tail, and I couldn't see the genitals. I don't know. I guess he was a male.
Right. Yeah.
but I ain't really see his genitals. I was just really looking at. I was just like sort of shocked.
Right. What is this thing? Especially after it stands up.
Yeah. Yeah. I was shocked, and I was trying to be quiet.
Right. Was the pig still warm through your night vision goggles, or no? They weren't thermals, were they?
No, there was a thermals. They were just regular night vision goggles.
Okay.
So I couldn't even tell and stuff. And I was just like kind of froze, and I'm like, please don't look over here. Please don't look over here. Please. I mean, it was just like, I don't know. I felt like I was in a Twilight Zone or something.
Yeah, yeah. And that was last year. So it's pretty much changed. I mean, you've had your one experience where you had the wood knocks, which could be explained away as anything, but with the validation of the guy. And then, this experience, that really, really makes it rock solid for you, especially when it stands up and then drops back down and is gone in a flash.
Yes. It really, like, opened my mind, like, more. Like, I want to know more. I want to know more.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear you there. Well, do me a favor. Don't hang up. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your experiences with us. It's funny because you had said, they're short. I don't know if it, but right here, it's proof that these things exist, and any encounter, in my eyes, is worth sharing because, your brief experience may encourage someone else to that has kind of closed down, come and share theirs, or help them realize, hey, there is, this guy saw something similar to me. So I appreciate you reaching out and sharing this with us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So do me a favor, don't hang up. It was a pleasure having you on, and I appreciate it. All right?
I appreciate y'all guys, too, and you, sir.
All right. Have a good evening.
You too.
All right, guys, a couple of things. Florida, you can night hunt boar. And that's what he was doing, in case anyone's like, well, why was he using night vision goggles? Well, because you can night hunt boar. Also, he really didn't want to focus on his military career. That's why he didn't want to really share too much about it. He was here to share encounters. And like I said, he only had a brief encounter with that one Dogman. I thought it was pretty neat how the Canadian military guy said, no, it's a Bigfoot, or called it the old man of the woods. Pretty interesting. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the interview. On to some encounters as well. Today's first encounter. In 2000, I was hunting small game with my mom, dad, and our 110-pound lab in a 200-acre public area about an hour north of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and just east of Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. We were walking in a line from the dirt road through a field of waist-high grass about 40 acres to the edge of a very wet marsh. I was on the left side with the dog, my dad in the middle, my mom on the right. My parents were about halfway in, and I was just ahead of them about 15 feet, when I heard a growl, snarl, grunt, pant, heavy breathing noise come from behind me between my mom and dad. In waist-thick, high grass, I could see the top half of this creature moving as fast as someone running full sprint on a track. At first I thought it was a black bear, but only a few have been sighted in this half of the state in the last 50 years. The creature was longer and more slender than a bear, and had defined muscles. It looked like a 7-foot-tall muscular man on all fours with black body hair 4 to 6 inches in length, covering its entire body. The face did not have a snout. It had hands and human feet. It looked close to a human with eyes of a human. It smelled very much like a wet dog. It ran very fast and covered a 40-acre field in seconds. Each stride was 6 feet apart through thick waist-high grass. It looked at me, snarled at me, and growled as it passed within feet of me. It disappeared into the marsh, and we left. To me, that sounds like a werewolf 100% next encounter. If anyone has ever driven in Alabama, then you know it can be a creepy state to drive through. I'm not sure where to start. I've had a few experiences with the paranormal, which I plan to share, but this is my only cryptid experience. My girlfriend and I had some time off of work, so we decided on some much-needed getaway time for a long weekend. This was early 2019, late January, February, so it was pretty cold. That being said, if you know anything about the southern states, it doesn't get that cold. This was one of those rare days when it was 30 to 40 degrees. I'm just trying to compile all of the events surrounding the sighting, so bear with me. We're on a highway in a swampy area. I have no idea the exact location, but I can say it was southern Alabama, close to Mississippi. There are lots of bridges. I wish we could have gotten pictures, but the car was moving at around 65 miles an hour when this happened. My girlfriend cries out for me to look, and I turn my head to glimpse a grotesque-looking creature. This thing was hunched down on all fours, possibly eating something. This all happened so fast, but I slowed down to get a better look, and all of a sudden the thing stands on two legs and has a humanoid figure, all except its head. The head was goat-like, but it had the body of a man. There were horns, and overall the head resembled a light-colored goat. The creature started back toward the woods, and we continued on our trip, but we couldn't stop talking about what we had just witnessed. I cannot be 100% sure what we saw. This all happened so fast, my girlfriend swears it was a man with a goat head, and I am certain I saw the same thing. Stay safe out there. Today's third encounter, I'll preface this by explaining a bit about myself. I've always been a night owl. My current profession actually entails me being up at night so the dark does not bother me. I have pretty excellent night vision. I don't panic. I'm a medical professional and a bit of an outdoorsman. I'm a big guy, 6'2", 260, and a biology nerd. My first experience I had was October 22nd, 2005, on a stretch of back road in the Mojave Desert, in the vicinity of Joshua Tree in Yucca Valley, California. It was the third or so day of quail season, and I was all tagged up and ready to go hunting. I had my little Jack Russell Terrier named Gus that a friend let me borrow for the day since I couldn't own dogs or cats, allergic as all heck. I drove out and parked my Jeep on a turnaround on the dirt road intersection. There are a zillion dirt roads out there, and some of them are bigger ones actually have stop signs at the intersection. It was a good day and getting a little late, but I hadn't hit my bag limit yet. I decided that I would stay out a bit past sundown and try to bag the last few birds on my permit. I was dressed pretty warmly, and Gus didn't seem to mind, so off we went. By the time I hit my bag limit, the sun had been over the horizon for an hour. Getting back to the road was easy enough, and following it back to the Jeep was just as well. Around the time full twilight set in, I came to the intersection with a stop sign on both directions, and was getting my bearings when Gus froze mid-trot and immediately started to growl with his hackles up. He was a pretty chill dog, so watching him go from happy little derp to DEFCON 1 so fast was alarming. I scanned the area to see what he might be so upset by, because my first guess was a javelina, or wild pig, and all I had was a shotgun loaded with birdshot. As I said, these are dirt roads. Each road is roughly the same width as the average two-lane city street. On the corner opposite the one we were on, I spotted a creature moving with the same general gait as a rooster, but without bobbing its head. What initially cued me in that it was not a chicken was simple fact that the head to foot must have been close to 3 feet tall. Based on body mass, I'd say anywhere between 40 to 50 pounds. I tied Gus's leash to my belt so that he wouldn't bolt after this thing, and waited. It loitered on the corner for a minute. Then, without making so much as a flutter, it made a roughly 9-foot standing leap from ground to perch atop the stop sign. Definitely not a chicken. At this point, I decided it was prudent to be armed, so I popped 2 fresh shells in the shotgun and held it at the ready. When I looked back up, I saw its eyes. 2 things that immediately sprang to mind. This is where the biology geek comes in. Were that 1, they were forward-facing, meaning this animal was likely predatory, and 2, they were proportionately enormous, meaning it was fully nocturnal. I realized that a 3-foot-tall predatory nocturnal 40-pound animal that can make a 9-foot standing leap was now regarding me from a high perch, albeit from roughly 40 feet away, and that I was in a bad position. I leveled my shotgun and loaded both barrels at it. After the echoes died down, it was still perched at top of that sign, making odd chirrup noises that sounded like a sneeze. I was reloading when it jumped down from the stop sign and ran away from us through the brush on an adjacent corner. I finished reloading, waiting until Gus had calmed down, and jogged back to the Jeep. On the way back through, I hit my headlights at the intersection. It happened. I saw that the top of the stop sign had definitely been peppered well with the shot, and that the majority of it had been centered on the animal. This animal had taken a 9-foot standing leap soundlessly, perched perfectly on a 2-foot square area, and taken 2 12-gauge loads of birdshot center mass and sneezed at me. On the way out of town, I told my experience to a Spanish-speaking clerk at the gas station, and he laughed and told his coworker, "You hear that? This Garo just ran into the El Chupacabra." That's my encounter. And tonight's final encounter. Let me first say and foremost, I'm a man of logic and explanation. I never believed in ghosts or other cryptid beings really in my life, but something happened a few nights that made me really feel weird. So I live somewhere in between country and town here in Florida, and I see an abundance of wildlife, fox, coyotes, raccoons, all very normal to see. Since there is a large fox population around here and most people have chickens, everyone has large dogs, including myself. I have a 75-pound boy and a 60-pound girl pit bull. They're fearless. They know this is their property, and they protect it as such, alerting me if they hear anything. And if they do, I open the door, and they run out and chase off whatever it is. The other night, I woke up randomly, and it was disturbingly quiet outside, like not a single cricket, and my dogs were not on my bed like they usually are. And all of a sudden, a howl like I had never heard went off, like a siren that sent chills down my spine, like a deep yell almost, but definitely from an animal. I turned the lights on in my house to see my pit bulls at the back of their dog crate shaking. I've never seen a look on their dog's face like that before, purely terrified. So I turned all the lights back off, grabbed a flashlight, and looked out the back window. What I saw about 200 yards off by a tree near the back of the property was this dog thing. I vaguely saw it, but it was very similar to a hyena, built with a large amount of fur on its neck, like a mane almost, and skinny back legs. Its head looked very wolf-like with erect ears and a large skull. It was huge. It was so black it was hard to make out distinct characteristics, but its presence scared basically any living thing that was around, it seemed that night. The next morning I went to the spot I saw this creature, but saw no tracks or hair or anything. But I know what I saw, and never saw anything like it before. Has anyone in Florida seen anything like this? We've been having a lot of dead dogs in the area. Dogs that are large and are being killed by something. Other people think it's coyotes or feral dog, but I think it's that thing I saw. Just seeing my dog so terrified really scared me. Alright guys, that is today's upload. I hope you enjoyed it. I really want to make a comment about Robert and Rascal. I've been seeing some comments in the comment section where people are calling it BS and stuff like this. Well, here's what I got to say about that. First of all, we weren't there. We don't know what happened. I know for one thing, no one was there when I had my encounter, but no one's calling that BS. And I wasn't there for anyone else's encounter, and I'm not going to call that BS. The majority of us are adults that are listening to this channel, and we all believe in bipedal hairy dog-like creatures and a bipedal hairy North American wood ape-like creature and other creatures at that, crawlers, etc. Yet we believe in that, but we cannot believe that one person possibly could have raised a pup dogman. Now, I wasn't there, and I'm not going to call the guy BS on it. I will ask him, though, if he's got any pictures and if he's got any sort of physical evidence of this creature that he had living with him for 15 years. But that being said, I cannot state that it did or didn't happen, so I'm taking him at his word, just like I take everyone else at their word on this channel. So with that, I hope the people that are really slamming down on him, I'm guessing they never had an encounter, so that's why they're being so rough, because if they had, they would know how it feels. With that, that's all I'm going to say about that matter, and I want to thank everybody either way for all your support. But I just wanted to let people know that, that's how I feel about it. I don't think it's very nice. I am going to ask him about some proof or pictures or something, because 15 years is a long time to have a creature like that, and for not having a photo kind of is strange. But also it was in the 60s, late 70s. Money wasn't so prevalent back then, or whatever you want to say. So I don't know if he could afford a camera or what. I just don't know, but I'm going to take him at his word because I wasn't there. I still have I'm still a humble person, and I truly appreciate everyone's support. But I don't like kind of the BS going on when people are calling people out. It's disrespectful. And, those aren't the comments that I want in the channel's comment section. And it's your guys' comment section. It's your guys' channel. I have a platform. But if we can't be respectful, I don't want that. So with that, thank you. And may the Great Spirit watch over us all, and may He guide us down that path that we call life.